Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for the new moon in Pisces happening this weekend, March 9th and 10th of 2024. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. Hope you guys had a wonderful week, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Let's go ahead and hop into these astrological transits so we can see how you can be better prepared to navigate these celestial energies. I know I'm a little late getting this one out. I stayed up really late last night playing video games. So, yeah, but I'm here. Let's go ahead and talk about this new moon in Pisces. It's going to be a very powerful weekend, right? So, yes, today on the 9th, of course, we do have Mars, which will be in square to Uranus. The sun is going to be sextiling Uranus at the same time. But we do have that moon that's going to be actually conjuncting Saturn today as well. And then, of course, on the 10th, we have that Pisces new moon. Mercury will shift into Aries. And then we also will have a Mercury immediately sextile Pluto as soon as it comes in to Aries. And then, of course, the moon will enter into Aries later on in the day. So some big shifting energies. We're going to go from 5 energies in Pisces to 3 energies in Pisces. So that's going to be quite the interesting shift. You're definitely going to feel that one. Let's go ahead and bring up the chart itself. All right, so I have this set for the current moment. It's 10:49 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Smyrna, Georgia, where I reside. And of course, we do have that moon over here in Pisces at 9 degrees, getting ready to make its conjunction to Saturn. And we can see that at the same time that this is happening, we do have Mars, which is going to be in square to Uranus today, as well as the sun sextiling Uranus at the same time. And of course, Mercury here at the edge of Pisces, getting ready to shift into Aries. So, well, let's take a look at this, right? So we are going to see, of course, pretty much that moment when the moon comes on top of Saturn. We're going to see these other energies. So let's talk about Moon Saturn first, right? Let's talk about Moon Saturn first. Well, so it's here at 10 degrees of Pisces, right? And this is not I think this will give us an opportunity to kind of feel into our own spiritual leadership, if you will. I when I see Saturn in Pisces, yeah, Saturn is on vacation right now. Like the big boss is on vacation, but I think this will give us an opportunity to kind of feel more into our own spiritual authority. But that's the weird thing about this. We have Mars that's squaring Uranus at the same time. Now, Mars is definitely looking to connect with other people, but it's about taking some innovative action. But with the square to Uranus, people may not necessarily get that. They may not necessarily understand the action that you're trying to take, or you're trying to, see if the actions that you take line up with the values of other people. Now, Uranus is expositing this Mars that it's squaring, right? But we got to remember, Uranus is in fallen Taurus, so it's not necessarily in the best spot right now. It's pretty grounded out. Now, I think a square like this could definitely bring some random energies. This kind of gives me the feeling of, I'm not gonna lie, this kind of gives me like volcano energy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sort of eruption this week. And it's interesting too, because with a lot of eruptions too, when you look at the way the volcanoes erupt, you'll see like storms accumulate around them and electricity. And Uranus and Aquarius is electricity. Mars is very impulsive, fiery energy. So this does give me kind of volcano energy. We may see a volcano actually erupt this weekend. Of course, I know we have the Icelandic volcanoes that have been pretty much going off, but maybe they have like a kick up this particular weekend. That's from like a physical standpoint. Now, for you personally, what could this mean? Well, this can mean, maybe there's a situation in your life that does kind of feel like it erupts this weekend, if you will. and maybe things start to kind of come to a head. And you know what? That's the weird thing about this. The volcano, even though it seems pretty chaotic and intense, it's actually going to create more life through this eruption. The volcanoes have to erupt. You know, they have to spew the lava so they can create more land. So it's a very creative kind of process. It just seems pretty chaotic in the start. So I think with an aspect like this, you know, we want to definitely take those actions and be innovative in the way that we approach things, and just realize that, you know what, maybe we won't always be able to relate to the people around us. And I think there's a desire to want to do that. There's a desire to want to relate to people right now, um to kind of see eye to eye with people. That I can definitely feel this percolating in the collective. Like, there's so many people right now that are okay with just being by themselves and being very introverted and stuff like that. But this is an extroverted kind of energy. Mars here in Aquarius is a very extroverted energy. And Uranus and Taurus, I would say, would maybe a little bit more on the introverted side. But I think it's interesting that Uranus, which is dispositing this Mars, is weaker than the Mars. So this is why it comes down to, like, you know, Uranus can be very much so concerned about the collective in this aspect. You know what I'm saying? The collective value. Mars is very much so about the individual amongst the collective, right? The unique person amongst the collective, right? So that's what this really comes down to. Do you have the power? Do you have the confidence to express your unique self and your innovative quality, and to really go outside the norm and think outside the box amongst a collective where the values, like I said, may not necessarily align, but you also have to ask yourself too, these values, are these actually things that these individuals value, or are they just going along with the popular vote? Are they going along with what everyone else is saying because it's easier and they don't want to go against the grain? They don't want to piss off other people. And that's the thing about this. So just because there is a popular vote, just because a lot of people agree with a certain narrative, does not necessarily make it the right decision. A lot of times, though, just to not ruffle any feathers, we will go along with something like that. A transit like this kind of reminds us to remain true to ourselves with let's say with this Mars squaring over Uranus. Now, at the same time, the Sun is sextiling Uranus, right? This is happening at the same time. So this will bring up a nice opportunity, especially for us to really tap more into our intuitive side, to kind of be able to perceive how to navigate this sort of square with the Mars and Uranus. You know, the Sun sextile Uranus is giving us this opportunity to, you know, tap more into our vitality, our spiritual vitality, and to kind of start to law of attract in many ways, you know, those relationships into our life that do align with our values, especially from a spiritual standpoint. I think everything starts with that. You know, it starts like, well, are you guys on the same page spiritually? You know what I mean? And and spiritually doesn't mean that you guys have to, and I'm gonna just look at it from a religious aspect too. Doesn't mean that you have to be the same religion, right? You can be, you can have two different religions, right? Or you get two people that have different religions, but they can still be on the same spiritual, you know, vibration. I know it sounds weird, but that's the saying. Like, once you peel back all of the dogma and the extra superfluous stuff, and once you peel back all the layers and everything, those two religions come back to the same core, right? So that's the thing about this. Oftentimes, what they'll do is that they'll pit these religions against each other, making people believe that they're so different when really they're not as different as they think they are, right? I think the Sun sextile Uranus here will give us an opportunity to really see where we vibrate with other people, and especially with our values. And this is going to come, like I said, from a spiritual place, from a more intuitive, emotional place, you know? Now, of course, at the same time, like I said, we do have that moon on Saturn. So it's like we're definitely going to be feeling this energy, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely, and then as the moon built up to the new moon, you remember this is a dark moon on Saturn as well. So anytime that you get like this dark moon energy, it kind of brings about a 12th house kind of quality. So it's hidden energy. And with it being with Saturn being here too, this can definitely speak to, people in positions of power or whatever like that, or leaders. And with the moon here, this is like hidden energy, right? So this is like people may trying to hide things from you. You know what I'm saying? You may not have the full picture. This is about people who may try to alter your perception on reality in many ways. The moon here will allow you to kind of fill into that, but I definitely can see how this transit can be used to kind of manipulate people emotionally to adopt a certain narrative or adopt a certain story too. Um, because like I said, the moon and Saturn generally don't get along. They don't really like being with each other. Saturn is very hard, rigid. It's very, structured, and the moon just wants to feel its emotions. It's very much so. It's kind of go with the flow, even though it's Cancer, so it's about directing your emotions and stuff. But it's very much so more on the intuitive side, more on the feeling side. So when you get this sensitive moon, especially a 12th house energy kind of moon leading up to this new moon with a hard, rigid Saturn, that's going to be like pretty difficult. Not only that, but the fact that Saturn and the Sun are together, it kind of brings up another interesting energy where it's like Saturn generally likes to be the one on top, right? So lately we've been having, like, if you look at the top of the chart, Saturn is at the top of the chart, but it's usually in the daytime, right? Saturn rather be at the top of the chart at nighttime, right? So that's the other thing about this. And it's with the sun. So its influence is kind of being outshined right now. So Saturn is a little bit, it's a little bit disgruntled, let's say, right? So that's the thing about this, so when the moon meets up with this, it can definitely feel like, when it comes to the adulting kind of energy of Saturn, right? The more rigid kind of energy, the battle of attrition that is life, and the moon meets up with it too. It can definitely kind of feel like we are on the bit of like the edge, right? We're on the edge of a rope. Saturn's trying to navigate these seas and stuff like that. And this Saturn is pretty weary. I'm not even gonna lie. The Saturn's gonna be pretty weary. When the moon meets up with it, we're gonna feel the weariness even more so, right? And like I said, this brings up a bunch of 12th house kind of energy, hidden stuff, having to rely on your intuition more, having to not necessarily think things through logically, but to kind of trust the process. Drug stuff comes up, of course, with this kind of energy too. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you happen to go out this week, or if you went out last night, I hope that you were safe. You know what I'm saying? And knew what you were getting. Saturn does rule regulations too. It does rule kind of having things like in order, if you will. So, that's the other part about this. We can feel with this moon on Saturn, we can feel that some rules and regulations are unjust. And, we can feel like, you know, that maybe we have been taken advantage of too. That's the other part about this. And we have to, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, we have to trust our own spiritual authority, if you will, and not outsource it to others. I think we can all help each other spiritually and help to uplift each other, but ultimately your connection to the divine is your connection to the divine. And you have the definite capability of connecting in your own way, and you don't have to go through really anybody else. I think we help to remind each other, but you don't have to go through anybody else. You don't have to go through a pastor. Back in the day, before a lot of people were able to read, they got all of their spiritual information from, like I said, like their pastors and stuff like that. As far as like religion and everything like that, Christianity, before a lot of people could read, before the Bible was like mass printed, it was the priests, it was the clergymen that, would read and talk about things in the Bible, whatever like that. And people would just kind of take it at face value. This is not an energy that you want to necessarily take at face value, especially because it's more 12th house energy. It's more hidden, right? So you don't want to take this kind of energy as face value. You want to kind of look a little bit deeper, see what else is hiding underneath the surface, if you will, right? So, and that's the thing, like I said, that's the thing about this. I just jumped from one topic to another real fast. But I'm just saying, like, before people were able to read, they got all their information from the pasture. Now that people are able to read, they can start to think for themselves and formulate their own opinions and formulate their own connection. And I think that is the thing that was a great equalizer when it came to religions, that people were actually able to, come to their own interpretations of these passages and these accounts of people that lived in the past, right? So, we're going to see, of course, that moon as we continue throughout the day. It is going to, it's going to sextile over to not Uranus, it's going to sextile over to Jupiter, right? We're going to see pretty much coming into the next day, we're going to see that new moon here in Pisces. This is going to be happening pretty early in the morning here on the East Coast. It's going to be happening here at 20 degrees of Pisces. I think it's interesting that Mars, of course, moves to 20 degrees. So it actually is going to be in semi-sextile to this new moon, right? And we also see Saturn actually hit the 11th degree as well. So we do have some shifting energies here. And it's interesting that with this new moon, Mercury actually shifts into Aries. So not only do we get this new seed that we're planted, but our mind is about to go through a whole new cycle. It's being refreshed. It just got done reviewing all of this Pisces energy and reviewing the whole zodiac pretty much, and now it's ready to go into a new sign and be fresh. So like mentally, we're going to start to kind of feel spring, right? We're like 10 days ahead, but like mentally, this is when we're going to start to want to, all right, what am I going to do for this new astrological year? We're going to start to think more about those sort of things to kind of get mentally prepared for the new year. Now, this new moon in Pisces, of course, the last new moon of the astrological year, yeah, this is going to, and of course, the last new moon before we head into eclipse season as well. So, because we're about to head into this eclipse season, by the time that moon comes around to Libra, we're going to be getting the full moon lunar eclipse, right? So, this new moon in Pisces, 20 degrees, it's going to be an emotional one. 2 is already the moon. That's what it represents. 2 in numerology represents the moon. And 0 is like a placeholder. It's Pluto, Scorpio energy. But it is about this potential. So that's the thing about this. I think this new moon is going to give us an opportunity to manifest something, but it is going to come off of our emotions primarily. And we have to really ask ourselves, that's why it's important to be as emotionally sound during this time as possible, and to not allow yourself to be, have your emotions dictated by people you don't know, that people may not have your best interests at heart. You know what I'm saying? This is about you kind of coming to your own spiritual conclusions and you connecting the spirit in your own way, ultimately. I think this will be an awesome new moon for everyone to recalibrate themselves. I think the Mercury coming into Aries definitely provides a nice little spark of energy that's going to give us, like I said, more energy, because we've been kind of feeling tired. We've been feeling pretty tired overall. People will feel exhausted because of all this energy that's at the ends of the zodiac. We had Mercury, Neptune, the Sun, Saturn, Mars, Venus, Pluto. We had all this, and now we have the moon here. So, but this is going to be a day, this Sunday, which is going to give, like I said, a nice little spark, if you will. I'm going to read the degree of this, but I'm going to just go ahead and show you as the moon moves about. It's going to, of course, conjunct Neptune here in the afternoon at 27 degrees. So, like I said, this is going to be one of those things where we can kind of emotionally kind of break through maybe some of our own delusions or our illusions. That's what I'm saying. Like, this moon is really tugging on this water right now, and we're definitely going to be feeling the waves. I think Sunday is going to be kind of a wavy day. I think it's going to be like the new moon happens, it apexes, and we're going to be feeling, oh yeah, we're going to start to think forward and think about the things that we can do, the actions that we can take with that Mercury shifting into Aries, and then the moon hits Neptune, and bam, here comes another wave of energy. Bam, here comes another influence. And now we have to navigate that energy. This is happening at the same time where Mercury is going to be in sextile to Pluto too. So, like I said, this Sunday is going to be a day where it's going to be like this. I'm not even gonna lie, it's going to be like this. You're going to have some highs and then some lows potentially. But here's the thing about those lows: they're going to be teachers for us, and they don't necessarily have to be like just terrible lows. I think it's really just going to be just the emotions and the waves are just going to be up and down, up and down. But that's the thing about this. We really only appreciate the highs, you know, when we don't really appreciate the highs without the lows. And the lows are super important too. That's the thing about it too. It's like, sometimes it's like we value being in those lows, we value being grounded, because a lot of times what happens is that those lows will kind of ground you, they'll kind of humble you. And so you can recalibrate so you can go back up again, right? So I think that a day like this, and with that Mercury, like I said, that's going to be in sextile to Pluto and Aquarius, this is, like I said, this is giving us a chance to really kind of look forward and kind of think more innovatively and think about what we can do, what we are capable of, what actions we can take. And these actions can lead us to connecting with some pretty freaking awesome people, especially with that Aquarius, right? But we have to have the courage to actually move forward and do it. The fact that this is happening, though, when the moon's on Neptune, it means that you may not necessarily feel like doing it. You may not necessarily feel like putting in the work. You may not necessarily feel like putting yourself out there. You may be worried. You may think that, oh, well, I got rejected 5 times in the past or 20 times in the past. You know what I'm saying? Why would I continue to do this? Well, that's the thing about this. Do you really want it? What do you? And I think you also have to check. You have to check like your desires and your reasonings for things. Your purpose. Like, why are you doing this? What's the why to it all? You know what I mean? And I think that's in many ways that's what this Pisces energy is teaching us. It's like the why of all of it. Like, we go throughout the whole zodiacal year, and then we get to Pisces, and it's a review period, and we have to ask ourselves why. And a lot of times the answer, we can complicate it, but a lot of times the answer is a lot simpler than we like to think. But we still ask ourselves the questions, the whys, if you will, right? I'm going to read the degrees of this 20-degree Pisces. Let's see the symbols. Let's see. Then all right. A little white lamb, a child, and a Chinese servant. This is interesting. This shows being able to provide care, safety, and comfort to those who need it. The child has a servant and is well looked after. He also has a little white lamb, an animal companion, one he can be with, hug, and enjoy. In our early years, it was the sense of touch that was initially satisfied. If you felt cradled and comfortable, you would grow knowing that all was safe and well. You could find yourself in a place of privilege, cradled from those things that could hurt or challenge you, having someone to look after you. Conversely, you could be the one who's always there for others, supporting and loving them regardless of who they are or where they're from. Being protected by higher, more aware energies, privileges of money and social status, helpers, servants, care, being watched over and watching over others, children. Social incompatibility, snobbery, not having to grow up, not taking responsibility, acting the brat, racial prejudice, the school of hard knocks. I think this is actually pretty interesting because when I'm looking at this, I literally get like this image. It's almost kind of Disney-like, right? You have a young kid. He has like a animal companion that could probably talk, and because this is Pisces, it probably can talk. You know what I'm saying? And then there's like the servant too that's looking. It's like the servant that's looking after them, right? And that I think that's kind of the interesting thing. Um, you know, not everyone had that kind of an upbringing where they felt cradled and they felt comfortable and they felt safe, but we have to find that balance between, we don't want to be overly coddling. We don't want to over coddle ourselves. We don't want to overly like try and hold ourselves and try to protect ourselves from the elements of life and the elements of nature and stuff like that. I think that's what it comes down to, that humanity in general, especially the Western world, is that we have overly coddled ourselves and we have protected ourselves so much from the elements of life and the elements of this world that now we feel entitled to certain things, in life. We feel entitled to have all these different privileges, not realizing that none of this stuff was technically guaranteed. But we have just built a society that has given us the illusion of these guarantees. This is about, we have to do what we can to help those in need, but we don't want to be overly giving of ourselves, because if we overgive, then we're not going to be able, then we will fall into deficits. That being said, some people are so selfless that they'll be willing to give you the shirt off of their back, even if it's a detriment to themselves. So I think that's the thing about this. I think it's interesting how it talks about social incompatibility and snobbery and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, there's definitely going to be an element where, I can feel like the children of the elites are probably even more snobbier than their parents were or their great grandparents, because they didn't build all this. And I think that's the thing about this we have to think about too. People that are running the world, like, are the grandchildren and the great grandchildren of the people that really built this like current society in this current era, if you will. They were the ones that have inherited the inherited money. So it's like they're this is part of the reason why I think a lot of things are like being, revealed right now. This is part of the reason why I think a lot of things are going to be exposed right now, is because the people that are in charge aren't the ones that built this current era. They're the ones that are benefiting because their grandparents and their great grandparents built this current era. So I don't think they really know what they're doing. I think they're just taking, I think they're taking not advantage, but they're taking for granted their position. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think a lot of this stuff is starting to kind of collapse. But I think we have to trust that we are being protected. We have our guardian angels. We have our guides that are helping us and guiding us through these moments. You know what I'm saying? I think this is a time where, yeah, I think, do your best to serve other people, like from like a spiritual place. Be like that spiritual server. I remember when I first redid my channel after moving back from Colorado in 2017. I called myself Aquarian Adepts, and I call myself your spiritual server. That was, I don't know, some of you guys even remember that. Of course, I changed my name twice since then. I changed it from Aquarian Adepts to Astro Phoenix, and now I'm J Phoenix, and I'm still going to use Astro Phoenix for something else. But yeah, I call myself the spiritual server, and I feel like this is a new moon that will help to remind us that we are being protected and that we are being cared for. You know what I'm saying? Try and find those people that you can care for or that care for you and stuff. And like I said, we all have, like, I think it's cool with the little white lamb here. I think we all kind of have like a familiar that we probably don't even realize. Maybe it's like a pet that we really connect with. But I think we all probably have like a familiar, that, maybe it makes itself known to you with this new moon if you're like really tapped in and stuff like that. But it's definitely very mystical. It definitely gives me Disney vibes, Um, yeah, I think this will be, like I said, I think this will be a very interesting new moon. And I think, of course, we're going to kind of feel like these highs and these lows, if you will. It's going to kind of go up and then going down, go up and then going down, go up and then it's going to go down. But we can't, I think this is about not resisting the school of hard knocks, because that's what life is. It's the school of hard knocks for real, like to the 10th degree, right? But we need to, and that's the thing about this. I feel like there are some people out there that have never been told no, and then they start acting like a brat because they've been told no, and they can't deal with the adversity, if you even want to call that adversity. which is hilarious. But yeah, some people have just like never been told no before, and they can't deal with no. So like these are the kind of people that you want to kind of sidestep and avoid, because they can't deal with adversity. They can't take any personal responsibility or accountability. This is the kind of new moon that was going to be about spiritual accountability and realizing that, you know, yes, your emotions are going to come and go, but you do have a responsibility to, work with your emotions and kind of work through your emotions, and not necessarily have other people just step around you because you're feeling a certain way. You know what I mean? You don't want other people tiptoeing around you just because you feel a certain way. No, you got to be able to, guide your emotions, if you will. I wouldn't necessarily say control your emotions, although with Saturn on Pisces on Saturday, there's definitely going to be like a control your emotions kind of element to this. But, like I said, guide them, structure them. It's going to be like I said, with water and stuff like that, it takes up the container that it's in, whether that is a cup or if it is a river that has carved out some land, it's still taking up that particular container. So we can kind of guide it, if you will, right? Or you have a dam where the water is dammed up, and then it can create some power as well. So that's what I'm saying. Emotions can be very, very powerful, but if we just let it go, even the ocean is technically in a big container. So like, but if we just let it go wild all the time, all the time, all the time, then you just are going to drown out everyone around you, drown out yourself, and you're not really going to get anywhere, and no one's really going to want to be around you. Right? That's the thing about this. So, yeah, I would say this is like I said, don't suppress your emotions, but learn how to dance with them and guide your emotions so they can actually be, because they're just a signal. Emotions are just a signal, right? Emotion, energy, emotion. So it's just a signal. So it's like, what is it telling you? What is it saying to you, right? You know, and then you address it, you work through it, move forward the best way that you can. So this is about taking some personal accountability and responsibility for our emotions, if you will. So um, let's get into the cards. Like I said, but the moon, like I said, will shift into Aries in the evening. So like I said, it's going to be once again, boom, 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 and then we'll see that. Where I'll just show you guys real fast because I just kind of started going again. But yeah, we'll see that moon is going to shift into Aries, and then it will conjunct Mercury, joining up, of course, with the sextile over to Pluto. So like I said, this is going to be another one of those moments too, where I think we do kind of end on a bit of an emotional high, because we're definitely going to be more thinking forward, and now our emotions are going to get are going to get on the same level as the mind. And with the sextile over to Pluto, it does give us this great opportunity to kind of transform the way that we kind of think about these sort of things, and the way that we can connect other people and really start to really innovate, I think, like I said, we're going to have some fresh, new, awesome thoughts. That's what the whole Mercury coming in Aries. You're going to feel inspired by the evening with Sunday to really tackle Monday, because we're also going to see Venus move into Pisces as well. So we have a lot of shifting energy that's about to happen. So we just go from 5 energies in Pisces to 3, but then it's going to go right back to 4. So like I said, it's kind of like a bit of a roller coaster this weekend, but I think it can be a powerful one, because we're going to feel a lot of this transformative shifting energy, and we're really going to get into the state where we're going to really start thinking forward, thinking about new things, new projects, and how we can move things forward. And then by the end of Sunday, we're going to really start to feel that as well, so we can get the feelings and the thoughts on kind of like the same page. So long as you can make it through these waves, and they're going to come and stuff like that, come the end of Sunday, you're going to start to feel better. You're going to start to feel the power again, the inspiration again, the motivation again, because lately we've been just kind of having to it can kind of feel like you're just going through the motions. It can kind of feel like you're just having to do anything you can to kind of motivate yourself. come Sunday evening, you're really going to start to feel the emotion. You're going to really start to feel the the emotion, but the motivation and inspiration, and a little bit. You're going to have a little bit more vitality as well to really get the ball rolling and stuff like that. I think it's a beautiful thing. I really do. I think it can be a very, very powerful weekend for that. Let's go ahead and get the cards. So finally switched up the decks. So I'm using this like holographic like Rider-Waite tarot deck, which is pretty cool. It's like it's like a rainbow holographic kind of deal. So it's pretty cool. You'll see that in a moment. And then of course I have my Answer is Simple Oracle deck. It's one of my favorite decks that I have. So the only thing about this Rider-Waite deck is that it does not shuffle the best, but we'll make do. Oh, we have a card that did just kind of fall out. I'm going to go ahead and grab that card. Wow, I have the Ace of Cups. I picked it up while I was in reverse, but this does speak to kind of like a new revival in emotional energy. You know what I'm saying? It's like a rekindling, I want to see what other cards are here, of course. I'm going to cut the deck, and then I'm going to pull a card. I have the Magician. Yeah, so you have all right, so yeah. Turn that frown upside down. That's really what this comes down to. The Ace of Cups in reverse. This is like I said, maybe we can be getting down on ourselves, but then the Magician is here, which is such a beautiful thing. So it's like, yo, don't you know that you have the capability of turning that frown upside down? That is alchemy right there, right? The Magician knows how to use the elements and to transform things and to use alchemy. So literally, that's what this is about. The power of your smile, the power of just that sort of energy, right? Turn that frown upside down. Seriously, that's what this whole new moon is about. It's like, and just because you turn the frown upside down doesn't mean that you're not sad. It doesn't mean that you're not tired or exhausted or that you're not going to experience hardship, but you make the conscious decision to move through that, move forward, take some responsibility, and also see the beauty in what you're going through. Even if it is tough, even if it is difficult, but you see how it is actually just a lesson here for your spiritual growth. And I think that's really what this comes down to. Even though this Ace of Cups in reverse, yeah, we may be feeling a little bit stunted right here, but the Magician is saying, nah, you have the power to change your situation. You have the power to do anything that you want. So turn that frown upside down and let's start to feel better and let's start to really move forward in a powerful way. I also have, oh my goodness, I have the Ten of Pentacles. Man, it starts with you. It starts with you feeling abundant right now, regardless of your situation, regardless of how much money you have in the bank or how many things you may have, or physical things. It starts right now. Do you feel valuable? Do you feel worthy? Do you feel like you have value to offer this world? That's where it starts. But I think, like I said, this could be a great weekend for you to regain some confidence in yourself. But just be wary, like, hey, there are going to be moments where it's going to be up and down. There's going to be moments when it's up and it's going to be down. And that's just life. We can't resist and restrict the emotions. We can't suppress them. We have to go through the full range of emotions. But just because you have a negative emotion doesn't mean that everything is going wrong. It doesn't mean that you're not valuable or whatever. The situation that you're going through is not valuable. It just means that it's a cycle, But I think it's beautiful with the Ten of Pentacles here. It's really bringing about, that we have to value, our own unique gifts, our own unique power, and what we can provide this world. And, I think this really just comes down to trusting in ourselves and trusting in spirit and moving forward in that way. I love it. Let's go ahead and get the Oracle card for this message. I think honestly, so long as you are putting in the work, so long as you're giving it an honest effort, you really have nothing to worry about. You really have nothing to worry about. And I think so many people have been putting in so much work and they're not necessarily getting the results that they want or what they think their results should look like, and they're about to throw in the towel. Do not throw in the towel. Don't throw in the towel. You are so close to a breakthrough, beloved. It's not even funny. And you probably have already broken through. It's just a matter of you physically manifesting, but spiritually you've already broken through. Now we just have to wait for the physical part of it to kind of catch up. So that's what I'm saying. Like, don't give up and just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward, right? Oh, so that card just wanted to come out. Get over yourself. I love that. Get over yourself. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Get over yourself in the way that you think it should look like, right? You are being guided. If you're doing the work, you're going to start to see some things start to come into fruition right before these eclipses. But in order to do that, we have to get over ourselves. We have to get over our own ego and the way that we think that it should look like, the way that we believe it should look like. That's the other thing about Pisces. It's a lot about belief too. So what you believe you should be or do and all this sort of stuff, what you believe about it, you have to get over it. All you have to do is trust your intuition and just look into your heart and ask yourself, what is it that gives me purpose? What is it that when I do it, I just feel alive and I feel like I'm doing something that is of purpose and that is helping humanity, but I'm also super passionate about it, right? That's all you have to ask yourself, right? So, yeah. That's what I got for you guys for this new moon in Pisces astrology forecast. I hope that you all enjoyed it. I hope it assists you on your journey this weekend. If you did enjoy this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. If you'd like to have a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful new moon in Pisces weekend. I'll see you all on the next astrology forecast for Monday. Peace out.